I welcome you all to the Department of English, Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University, Rajouri, wherein third webinar is being conducted today on topic Role of ICT in the Process of Teaching and Learning in the Digital Era. The lecture will be delivered by Professor Hitesh Revia. The main reason of initiating these academic endeavors is enrichment and professional development of teachers, researchers, and students. These webinars intend to cover various themes related to learning, creation, and dissemination of knowledge. This intellectual exercise would not have been possible without patronage, encouragement, and guidance of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Javed Musarrat, who has always encouraged us to conduct such intellectual discourses. We'll be soon joined by our Dean Academic Affairs, Professor Iqbal Parvez, and our Dean School of Islamic Studies and Languages, Professor G.M. Malik. We have participants from Shakra University, Saudi Arabia, and from Iran. I welcome you all to this webinar. We all know that the traditional teaching that was sacrosanct for centuries has undergone tremendous transformation, especially during this COVID pandemic. UGC and MHRD has taken several initiatives in the form of digital communication, wherein different online courses are being launched for teachers and students of universities. How can information communication technology help us in disseminating knowledge to our stakeholders who are our students in this COVID pandemic? How can technology support, enhance, and optimize the delivery of information? We have with us today Professor Hitesh Revia, Head Department of English. Sir, I welcome you to the virtual world of Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University.
Thank you, madam.
Sir, I am indebted to you that you agreed to deliver lecture in our webinar, and it was very prompt. Thank you, sir, for your greatness and kindness.
Thank you
He
very
is
much. Thank
Head
you.
Department of English, the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda, Vadodara, Gujarat. Professor Hitesh Revia has 23 years of teaching experience at UG and PG level. He has guided 22 MPhil and PhD scholars. He has published his papers in both national and international journals of repute. He has authored 20 books published by reputed international publishers like Macmillan, Orient, Black Swan. His books have been prescribed in the syllabus of universities and colleges of Gujarat in Meghalaya School Board of Education for 9th and 10th standard. He has presented more than 46 papers in international and national conferences and seminars. He has delivered 133 invited lectures and chaired 18 sessions in various conferences. He has been an active participant in various faculty development programs. The prominent among them are Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, UNESCO, Korea and Bhutan National Commission for UNESCO, Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, Hyderabad, Regional Institute of Education, Bhopal. He has served as an editor and reviewer of various UGC recognized peer review journals. He has served as a member of selection committee. He was VC's nominee. He has worked as various administrative positions as well. Directorate of School Welfare Cell, Academic Integrity Policy Committee. He has remained a member of Board of Advisory, Center of Lifelong Learning and Extension. He is a member of various bodies, literary bodies. Prominent among them are the Asia Association of Computer Assisted Language Learning, Korea, All India English Teachers Association India, and Indian Association for Canadian Studies. Let's see how we can push the boundaries of knowledge to a significant extent. Over to you, Tanveer.
Thank you, ma'am. Since we were waiting for Dean Academic Affairs, sir, but it seems that there have been some problem in joining this. He would be
No,
joining.
actually, Tanvir, no. Tanvir, just a second. Could you please check which link you have sent
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
The previous one. Kindly recheck your link. I think it's the previous one that you have sent him. He's not able to join. There is some technical snag. Kindly check it. You should have sent him the recent one. There is some problem. Kindly check it.
Could I- Uh,
Hello?
Yeah.
Sir, should we start? Because he will be joining us within 5-10 minutes. I think we should start.
No problem, madam. As you wish.
Because the participants are waiting for us, we should start.
Whatever you say, ma'am.
Please, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah.
joined Dean Academic Affairs, sir. We have been joined by Dean Academic Affairs.
Okay, we
Yeah,
have
he's
been joined.
great, great.
I think I have admitted Dean Academic Affairs, sir.
Has he joined?
I think yes.
Tanvir, I'm in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are. Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Sorry, sir.
Anyway, there was some mess up there because I didn't have the link properly, and I'm so sorry I kept the audience on wait.
No problem, sir. No problem.
My apologies to everyone. And
Sir, please.
okay. Tanvir, go ahead, please. Go ahead. We are already late, so go ahead. And I would not like to keep people waiting any longer.
Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Romina, I'm in.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome,
Welcome.
sir.
Okay, Hitesh, sir. Let's.
Shall we start, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hitesh, sir, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
good afternoon to everybody. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Romina Rashid, the Department of English, BGSB University, the Dean Academic, Dr. Mirza, Dr. Maria, Dr. Romina Rashid, and obviously Tanvir. Look, as we know that for the last few days and for the last few months, we have been experiencing altogether a different role of teacher. Look, interference of ICT is never new in this history. From the beginning, even if we talk about the earlier teaching, ICT has always affected teaching. The first intervention of ICT was in 1920. So, look, when radio was introduced for the first time, when the radio was introduced, it was way back in 1920. It means we have already passed 100 years so far as ICT is concerned. But at that time, the use of ICT was very minimal. So from radio, then you have gramophone, then projector, then MP3, things are going on. And the forms of ICT has been changing every decade. But right now, in this digital era of 21st century, and particularly after the COVID-19, I think that the roles of teachers will altogether have a different role. Look what I feel that so far as ICT is concerned, right? We have to rethink the entire higher education system in the sense what I feel that the teachers, teaching, learning, everything will be redefined. I don't want to say that the traditional teaching will not be there and altogether there will be only online teaching. Nothing of the teaching that we have experienced in the earlier century will be there. But yes, we must understand that because of ICT and because of this particularly, post-pandemic world, the higher education scenario will 100% be different than what it was. Look, Madam has already discussed that what we have been suffering, the way in which COVID-19 has affected the entire higher education system in India. So I don't want to take much of your time. I would like to come to directly to the main point, that is ICT and teachers. Look, those teachers like me who are in their 40s and 50s, they have learned their teaching and learning in 20th century, and we are teaching in 21st century. So this is the basic difference. That means when we were students, when we learned something, there was no digitalization. Like when I did my master's, when I did my PhD, there was no internet. So we have in India a group of teachers who have not done their teaching and learning with ICT, but they have to teach with ICT. So this is the biggest challenge. Maybe after 20 years, maybe after 50 years, this challenge will not be there because today's digital natives, they are different and they will accept ICT. But we as a teacher, we have no option, but we have to accept ICT interference and we have to understand that tomorrow's teaching will be altogether different. Look, we all of us know it very well what ICT is, that is information and communication technology. As I told you earlier, that even before the traditional teaching under the tree, and then radio, then gramophone, but in the last 10 years, if you see from 1970s to 2020, in the last 50 years, everything has changed. From morning till evening, we are affected by various digital gadgets. So how can teaching and learning be far away? So look, these are some of the common examples that we use, perhaps we know or not. Like for example, say digital camera, memory cards, or mobile, GPS, CD, radio, camera phone, mobile, you name it, and there is another device. So there is a mass of different gadgets, desktop, computers, laptops, everything is happening. Imagine this webinar is also the result of ICT. Like we wouldn't have thought of this webinar 20 years back, but because of Zoom, because of ICT, because of internet, all of us are, on the one bridge. This is the advancement of ICT. Then it becomes a kind of borderless education. Look, I imagine that there will be a virtual university where it will be possible for the learners to have education even without going to the college. You may laugh at me that said it's not possible, but suppose 20 years back, if somebody would have said that a resource person from Gujarat will deliver a lecture to the students and teachers of Jammu without coming to Jammu, perhaps you would have laughed at me. Similarly, everything is changing with so much speed that if we will not revise, if we will not adapt these skills, we will have threat as a teaching. So because of ICT, our learners are exposed to so much of information. Before they enter into the classroom, they already have knowledge. Look, in 20th century, in the traditional teaching, the teacher was the complete holders of the classroom. Teacher was the whole and soul of the classroom. But in 21st century, it is not so. In the 21st century, it is more learner-centric learning and teaching. So there is a kind of shift. We can see that earlier teacher was knowledge transmitter and he was the primary source of information. There were no e-books, there were no facility of library, no internet. Today your students and my students, they don't need us to know who was Shakespeare. Imagine when we were students, our teacher used to tell us who was Shakespeare, where he was born, how many plays he has written. I mean, that biographical information. But today's learners don't require teachers to tell the biography of the dramatist. Today's learners, they don't require tellers to history of English literature or history of English language. What I mean to say is that what was information in 20th century, we thought it was a knowledge. We must understand that there is a difference between information, knowledge, teaching, and learning. More or less, earlier, since teacher was controlling and directing all aspects of learning, he delivered information and we thought it was a knowledge. So knowledge in 21st century is also changed. I don't want to say that what our teacher taught, the way in which our teacher taught, it was a wrong method. It was an appropriate method at that particular point of time. For example, if my teacher in 1980s, he dictated us in the classroom. Now, dictation method was good at that time. But if you today dictate your students, you will not survive as a teacher because your students will reject you. Your students will not appreciate that you dictate something for 1 hour in the classroom. They will expect that you provide a class note in a printed form. So from knowledge transmission, teacher has become a kind of learning facilitator, a kind of collaborator, a kind of coach, and a knowledge navigator. As we use Google, when we are in a new city, we use navigator to reach a particular place. In the similar place, in the 21st century, in the digital era, teacher is more like a knowledge navigator. We have to teach them, we have to show them the path of learning. It will be very difficult for you to teach in the class. Rather, what I wish that we should create the situation of learning in the classroom and teacher becomes a co-learner because so many skills are coming, digitalization is coming. So it is not possible for it sometimes it so happens that your learners will be advanced than you. Then you should have that capacity to accept it. So teacher gives more options to the students and there are more responsibilities on the shoulders of the students. So the changing role of the teacher is no longer all-knowing authority. First of all, in 21st century, we should forget that I am the teacher, and since I am the teacher, I am the complete super authority like that. So that is one thing. And another thing, earlier the classroom was pin drop silence. Remember, our teacher used to say that I want pin drop silence in the classroom. Whereas today, what we recommend is collaborative teaching, cooperative teaching, together we sing or together we swim. So there is a kind of active participation in the learning, and that is possible only through different ICT tools, different activities. You can begin with WhatsApp, you can begin with Facebook, you can begin with email, anything. But as a teacher, we have to blend our teaching as well as ICT tools. Look, there are many uses of internet. I'm not here to teach you how to use Google. I know it very well that all of you as a teachers, as a students, you are using different tools. I am here to tell you that you must understand that the role of teacher in the digital era is different. The way in which we were taught, if you will taught in the same manner, it will not survive. For example, earlier the job of teacher was limited to say 4 hours and 5 hours, like in the classroom. Now today's classroom is 24/7. You can't say that my college is morning college and I will be available only for 6 hours or 7 hours. It is not possible. That means there are many things psychologically level also we have to change. So we have Google, you have emails, you have Skype, you have Facebook. We use all this, but only for personal use. Now this is the time when you have to use all these gadgets for us. So we must understand that there is a world beyond the classroom, particularly after post-pandemic world. Look, the four walls of classrooms have now expanded to the world. That means the classroom is not the physical classroom that we teach in the classroom. That is the first thing we have to understand. That earlier, the duty of teacher and the role of teacher was restricted only to the classroom. But what is classroom? The classroom is not the classroom which was physical classroom earlier. We have been experiencing it for the last 3 months, that though we are at home, still we are doing our job as a teacher. But which teachers are doing very well? Those teachers who are very good in ICT skills, those teachers who are ready to accept the new challenges, those teachers who are ready to accept, like Google Meet, Zoom. We know it very well. For all of us, it is a new experience. Like three months back, I don't think very few teachers might have used the Zoom or Google Classroom, but now it is a reality. So that is the first point, that the classroom of 21st century is different. Now your room, your study room is your classroom. It depends on you how you are going to use your laptop, how you are going to use your ICT school. So information and knowledge are growing, and ICT have changed the world of work. The way in which we used to work earlier, we have to work differently. Maybe it's quite possible that we may have to deliver everything from our home. At the same time, we must understand that that is the reason our students require new kinds of skills, and the diversity of skills are different, altogether different. So there will be a kind of digital divide. Look, in the earlier times, it was language divide. Those who knew English, they were advanced, and those who do not know English, they were considered as a, like mediocre. Even in the UNESCO has identified 10 soft skills. Out of 10, 2 are effective communication skills and basic ICT skills. Meaning thereby, each and every teacher and student have to acquire basic ICT skills. So we have two groups, haves and have-nots, in the society, in the classroom, in the college. And that is why those teachers who will not accept this ITC school, those teachers who will not accept and sharpen their skills of ICT, they will be redundant after 2 years. You may not agree with me, but I'm sure that if you use only chalk and talk method, those teachers who will not advance, those who will not learn new things. And teacher is a lifelong learner. We should not be ashamed of learning anything new. So there, and students need new skills. So what are the skills of 21st century? Along with literature, along with language, it may be sociology. You may be a teacher of any subject, but as a teacher, it is our duty to see that our learners do not have only information. We know it very well that most of the students in humanities and social science, after their graduation and post graduation, they face a kind of challenge. And what are the challenges? That they do not have employability skills. We know it very well. There are UGC reports, MHRD reports. UGC and MHRD is busy in preparing new curricula, that our syllabus should be skill based. And that is why there are skills of 21st century. So the modes of learning are different in 21st century because it is a digital age, and that is why teaching in digital era is different. Since teaching and learning is different, so are the skill. So which are the skills because of ICT, because of the change of the society that we need to focus? That is creativity and innovation. Look, teaching learners in a digital world, teaching learners in this era, the primary thing that we have to teach is creativity and innovation. Then we have critical thinking and problem solving, communication and collaboration, information literacy, media literacy, and ICT literacy. These three are very crucial. And then apart from that, there are certain life skills. Look, we know it very well that life skills plays a very crucial role in anyone's life, because you may be a teacher, you may be a doctor, you may be in any discipline. If you are good at it, your own skill, that is what we call hard skills. But if we are not good, if students are not good in life skills and career skills, they will face the problem. Even control of emotion is also one of the life skills. We know it very well what is happening in the world, like recently, yesterday, we heard a very sad event. That is the example when people are not able to control emotions, certain tragedy happens. So today's life and work and environment, they require so many skills. So flexibility, adaptability, self-direction, cross-cultural skills. We have to teach our learners to respect all the religions, all the caste, kid. It's not only about language. So social skills, cross-cultural skills, respect of religions, productivity, accountability, leadership, responsibility. These are some of the skills that are required in this world. When I come to digital literacy, I use the three terms, that is information literacy, media literacy, and ICT literacy. They form altogether basic skills. Look, today so much is available on the website. Our learners don't know which website they should use. Even at home also, we have gadgets. Gadgets have advantage, ICT has advantage, but at the same time, there are threats as well. So what to use, when to use, which website, how many times, we have to train our learners. Because if you simply give mobile to them, if you simply provide laptop to them, and if we are not watching them, then it will be a great threat. So ICT has come up with a challenge, because ICT is, like two sides of one coin. On the one hand, there is a store of information and knowledge. On the other hand, there are problems as well. So what do you mean by digital literacy? Look, personally, I feel all the learners and all the teachers have to have basic digital literacy. That means, very briefly, you should be able to screen, you should be able to surf internet, text, keyboard, you should be able to make multimedia presentations, you should be able to locate and evaluate information, you should be able to use the ICT tools, create, sharing information, search, shift, scan, sorting, navigate through screen of information, So these are the basic digital literacies that as a teachers you have to acquire. Look, you can't say, I don't know how to create video now. You can't say, I don't know how to start Zoom meeting, or I don't know Google Classroom. So Google Classroom, or Google Meetings, Zoom, there are many platforms. You may choose any platform of your own choice, but you have to have basic digital literacy. It is essential. So coming to that point, yeah, so we can see that there are different stage of ICT adoption. Now, as a teacher, it is quite possible that you may be using ICT for yourself. That is one thing. And using technology for pedagogy is a different thing. So there are 4 levels. I'm sure that none of you is at the bottom level, but there may be few teachers, there may be few participants, they have not yet started. But if they have not started, it's okay, you have to start again. Look, so it is emerging stage. Then once you are in emerging stage, you start using technology, you start applying it. So emerging, and then comes application, and then infusing and transformation. So in short, there is a difference between learning about ICT and teaching with and through ICT. Look, most of the teachers, we use ICT. There is no doubt about it. We have been using ICT for more than 10 years now. We have our own email ID. We have WhatsApp. We have email. Basic things we have. But issue is that how many of us are using emails and WhatsApp for academic purpose, or you can say teaching purpose. To give you a simple example, if you are teaching a particular course or particular paper, then as a teacher, if you have WhatsApp group of that group, look, we have made this practice in our department. So for each course, for example, core paper 1, core paper 2, core paper 3, for each paper, the teachers have to create an official WhatsApp group where teacher is admin and only he can pass the information. These are small initiation, like you have to begin with. So becoming aware of ICT, first you become aware, then you learn how to use ICT in a subject teaching. Look, I have been using WhatsApp, but if I don't use WhatsApp for my classroom teaching, then there is no point. If I use Google email, but if I don't have email ID of my students, there is no point of having my email ID. Because if I am a teacher, I should have email ID of all my learners. I should have a mobile number. In today's world, you can't say it is a privacy. So you have to use ICT in a subject teaching, and then understand how and when to use ICT, because too much use of ICT also disturbs the teaching. So when you are in the classroom, you have to limitize your use, and then ultimately, so these are the 4 stages. You can see that learning is different than teaching, and with ICT is a different thing. So what I mean to say is that question is not that whether ICT is good or ICT is bad, because those days are gone. In the sense, we don't have time to discuss the issue whether online learning or digital learning is good or bad, because UGC and MHRD has also introduced various policy. I do understand that there may be certain issues with it. I'm not here to tell that only online teaching or only digitalization or use of ICT can only make teaching better. Even in the past, our teachers have taught us without ICT, and most of the teachers like me are the product of 20th century, right? So it is not like that, but the demand of 21st century is different. And these digital natives are those children who are born in 21st century. So look, we must understand, we as a teacher are the product of 20th century. Most of the teachers who are above 40s and above 50s, they are product of 20th century, and they are teaching in 21st century. And that is why we have to be extra cautious. For a lighter mode, this is a cartoon. Due to recent technological advances, everything I taught you about computer is no longer valid. So this is one more thing. What we talk now, it may not be valid after 5 years, like, so everything is changing so fast. And another disadvantage that we have, that unfortunately students have stopped reading. Since they have stopped reading because of too much use of digitalization, their critical thinking skills are at risk. So as a teacher, it is our duty to see that along with ICT, along with whatever modes of teaching we have, we also have to develop the critical thinking, because critical thinking is at the base. If critical thinking skills is not developed, then nothing will be there. Then we will produce only robots and not the learners. So in a way, what we require is a kind of learner-centered approach. That means it is the duty of the teacher to see that teachers make their approach more learner-centered by giving students more responsibility of their own. Typically, we should not feel that I am the all and soul. So look, what you can do in the beginning, there is something called e-portfolios. All the teachers must create e-portfolios. If in the beginning, if you can't create e-portfolios, there are many ready-made e-portfolios available. So e-portfolio is a kind of electronic or digital record compiled by the users and typically maintained in the internet. So teachers or teacher educator, right? You can use each e-portfolio as a way of keeping learning records. We can keep our notes. We can give assignment to students. Look, in this, for example, in this, at this particular point of time, e-portfolios are the best because you can give homework. Students under guidance, they can contact you, and students should also compile various e-portfolios. Then there are many e-resources. If as a teacher, if you create your own resources, that is the best. But in the beginning, if you cannot create resources, at least you can use the e-resources that are already available. So look, UNESCO is doing a lot of work in all the subjects. So a gateway to e-resource, there is one resource by UNESCO. So in that, all the resources are available. You can see that this is a homepage of a UNESCO website, and it is called ICT in Education. You can say role of ICT in education, and for any subject, whether it is English, physics, chemistry, biology, you say and they have it. So UNESCO has created many portals, many PPTs, many videos. So in the beginning, what I advise, a teacher, there is nothing wrong to use devices which are prepared by others. It is not essential that you create your PPT. If a particular PPT is available in your subject, there is nothing wrong to use it. The only thing is that you tell that this is not yours. Then there is something called the gateway to 21st century skills. So there are many gateways. I am just here to guide you. I know it very well that in 40 minutes, it is very difficult for me to give information of each and everything. But what I wish that at least you see what is the gateway. What do you mean by gateway? Gateway is nothing, the gateway of skills. So like here you can see that, like for science, they have 11,000. For English, there are thousands and thousands of web resources available for that. Then there is reference desk. Reference desk is also a very good website. Generally, we use only Google. And then there is a world of ebooks. We know it very well that this physical library will not be there after 10, 20 years. Most of the publishers have turned to ebooks. So it is our duty to provide all the ebooks to our learners. Our learners may not have idea from where to get it, So what we can do, we know it very well that the oldest project is Gutenberg. I'm sure all of you must have heard about Project Gutenberg, but if you have not, I request you to visit Project Gutenberg, and it has lakhs of books in it. Then what I feel that as a teacher, all of us must have Kindle. Now it's very simple gadget. Look, we pay thousands of rupees in our mobile phone. We pay thousands of rupees for others, but we as a teachers, we feel hesitant to pay for Kindle, and it's not very costly. Look at the size. The Kindle is like your passport. You can keep it in your pocket anytime. And it reads like no glaring, and it can store 1400 books. So it is like your personal library. You can read. The weight of Kindle is very low, only 170 grams. It has a massive book collections from Amazon. By paying only rupees 200, you can get 60,000 titles. Yes, I repeat my words. By paying only rupees 200, you can get 6 lakh titles. So this Kindle will be very good. You can download books. So I think that Kindle is like our home library, personal library, and all the teachers should have it in his or her pocket. So that is why, to coming to the concluding part, what I feel that it is a kind of blending learning with Web 2.0 tools. Look, Web 2.0 tools, you know it very well. That is our blogs, wiki, podcast, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Moodle. Moodle is also a very good option. So as a teacher, you can choose any one or two. I don't want you to be everywhere, even it is not necessary. Look, at the undergraduate level or at the postgraduate level, you decide whether you are comfortable in Moodle, whether you are comfortable with Twitter, Facebook. You decide 2 3. But personally, I think Moodle is a freeware, and Moodle is the best for teachers at this particular point of time, because Moodle is free. You can get the training of Moodle. You simply type Moodle in the website and you realize you can create your own digital classroom. You don't need any license, and it is completely free of cost. Even university can have its own Moodle program, and it's very simple to add all the students only by email. And once all the students are included in the Moodle, you require a separate workshop on Moodle. But what I advise, you can learn on your own also. That is what I believe, in 21st century teacher. I mean, I'm here to tell you that Moodle is good. Now, rest of the responsibility is yours to download it and all. So these are some of the platforms that we have been using it. So blogs, wiki, Moodle, social networking, and there are many engines like answer engines, answer.com, etc. So in short, what I want to say is that if we use only chalk and talk, it will not work. So you have to use answer engines, you have to use search engines. You can see that there are web tools for education. You have your email, then your blogs, wiki, Facebook, Twitter. You decide any one or two platform and try to connect your learners. Look, you can't say that it breaks my privacy. Look, that is the first notion. As a teacher, we have to understand that, like doctor is 24/7, teacher should be 24/7, Monday to Sunday. That is what is demand from the teachers. If you feel that, no, I don't want any WhatsApp group, I don't want my students on Facebook, I don't want my students on Twitter or MySpace because they disturb my privacy, I think it will be very difficult. If you think that you will teach only in the classroom, that is physical classroom, your 18 lectures or 20 lectures, and then after you will not have any contact with the learners, I think that you may survive, but your learners will not remember you. I'm very sorry to use this word. Look, learners will remember only those teachers who are connected to them on social media. So social media is a great platform if we use them for academic purpose. So this is a reality of life, whether we understand or not, whether we like it or not, the roles are changing. So in concluding remarks, what I want to say is that very briefly, we have to realize that because of ICT, because of information and technology, the roles of teaching and learning, they have been changed completely. There is no point of discussing the same monotonous method that we had earlier. Number two, too much of ICT use is also not good, and we have to have a kind of bridge, or what you can say, blend between the two. So this changing environment is there. We have something called mobile learning. The mobile learning is also another option for
I want to
teachers. Yeah,
interrupt.
sorry.
I just wanted to announce that Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Javed Musarrat has joined us in the webinar. So we welcome our Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, who has been a real force behind organizing all such programs. Now you can carry on.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'll coming to the point. What I want to say is that in 21st century, everything has changed. So a teacher is no longer a teacher, if he uses only chalk and talk method. So I'll again come to that point that we have to realize that in 21st century, if we do not mingle ICT with our teaching, we will not survive as a teacher, because virtual education, if you see that MHRD has already announced virtual university. So it is quite possible that after 10 years, in each and every state, there will be a virtual university. That is called borderless higher education. Look, MHRD in his mission document, that is Enemy of ICT, that is National Mission of Education through ICT in 2010, it predicted that by 2020, there will be virtual university in every state. I think what has happened in the last few days and last few months, it is quite possible that the role of teacher will altogether different. I don't want to say that teachers will not be required. Without teachers, university and college cannot survive. But the way teacher is using his method, that will be different. That means you will be a content writer, you will be a web creator, you will be knowledge creator. So look, teachers roles are changing, and that is why it is very difficult for traditional teaching to survive. Look, you may not believe, but 50% of the affiliated colleges that we have in humanities, that will not be there after 10 years. There is a kind of threat. I am using the word threat very cautiously, that there is a kind of threat on teaching community. Why? Because very soon, you take my words, very soon there will be online colleges, online university. In USA, in UK, they have already started. That means for a basic degree like MA English, MCom, fundamental bachelor course, UGC and MHRD are going to allow permission to have online education. This is the reality of life. So tell me, if our students, if they will not get something new in the college, why should they come to attend our class? If as a teacher, we deliver the same thing in the classroom, which they can get through online, perhaps they will think twice. I do understand it is a very debatable subject, that online education and offline education, there is a difference between the two. In the offline education, there is a eye contact, there is a physical environment, there are both have their own advantages. But my point is that the teacher has to remain ready for that. So in the concluding remark, I would like to end my discussion with here. The only thing that I would like to say, that the change is the only constant thing. Everything is changing every moment, and teacher is a lifelong learner. Teaching starts in the womb and it ends in the tomb. So as teachers, in the next 10 years, we have many challenges. Many teachers who had no idea what is Google Classroom, now they are using Google Classroom. So we have to use many technologies in the coming years, and it will be altogether a new, different world. It is very difficult to say what will be the scenario of higher education of India after 10 years. There may be few colleges which will not be there. Even otherwise, we know it very well that day by day, number of students are decreasing in some of the disciplines. Many engineering colleges, many arts colleges, they find it very difficult to find students. Now, if in this era, suppose in each state, there is a virtual university, say Jammu Virtual University, right? So students will get admission in virtual university, and everything will be changed very soon. I think that I have done justice to my work. I know it very well that the topic is very debatable. because we are not ready to change. That is a human nature. It is very difficult to change. And when somebody says that everything is going to change in the next 10 years, it is very difficult to say. But we have to realize that suppose 50 years back, if somebody would have told that with the help of mobile, somebody can talk to someone in America, we would have considered that person as a madman. But today it is a reality. So technology has changed everything. Today we have our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dean Faculty of Arts, like all of us are connected from our offices on a one platform that is called Zoom. Nobody expected 10 years back or even 5 years back that there will be an application called Zoom, which will connect all of us from different parts of the world, not only India. So this is the advancement of technology. And as technology is going up every year, every moment, we as teachers also have to sharpen our skills. Teachers' basic knowledge remains at the core. The only thing is that medium is going to change. Uh, with this note, I thanks all the members, all the participants. I'm thankful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Dean, the head of the department, and all the participants. And with this note, I'll say thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Hitesh D. Ravia. I would request you to stop screen share.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. At the very onset, I would again like to welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Javed Musarat, to this webinar. He had joined us recently. Before I go ahead, I would like to thank Professor Hitesh D. Ravia for an enlightening speech or talk on the role of ICT in teaching learning process in the digital era, wherein Hitesh sir threw light on how a teacher has got great challenges ahead and how by making ourselves digitally literate we can overcome those challenges. And he focused or stressed the point that a teacher in the 21st century, in the 20th century, or in post-COVID era has to be very much literate more than he is. That is, he has to have the ICT literacy, digital literacy in order to survive. Now, before we take further this session into an interactive session, I would request Honorable Vice Chancellor, Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University, Professor Javed Musarat, to have a few words.
Thank you very much, Tanveer. First of all, I apologize that I have missed this session, and Professor Hitesh, as I've heard some of his last words, in fact, when he was about to finish his presentation, he gave a wonderful conclusion of what he has, I think, mentioned in his presentation. So thank you very much, Professor Hitesh, in fact, and it's a very apt topic, which is, in fact, very dear to me as well. And I have been always promoting the use of ICT in technology. I remember back in 1992, when I was at the Ohio State University, I saw people using ICT for teaching purposes there. So that was kind of something new for me at that time. And that was the time when I have seen a telephone which was like a home telephone we use, not a mobile, but a telephone set which was having a provision of video conferencing at that time. So that was kind of surprising that the technology was already there, but it was very expensive. Now, when the technology is at our doorstep, in fact, it's so inexpensive, I think we should try to use maximum use of this ICT in our daily life, in fact, in our teaching programs and examinations. Now, one thing which still remains a matter of concern, which people always say, is the quality of the teaching using this ICT. Some old timers still believe that chalk and talk model is the only solution to it. What I say is that this technology can supplement it. Of course, I am of the view that chalk and talk has its own significance, but then we should move ahead with the advancement in science and technology. And now this is the area where teaching and demonstration in virtual mode is really very, very user friendly. So I think those who are not into this, they should try their hands. Now, this COVID 19 has given an opportunity to each and every individual, in fact, to use the technology. And I am happy that in my university, 100% of my staff has used this, and they have delivered their lectures through virtual mode, either using Zoom or any other platform, which I hope will be a new normal. And henceforth, we have to follow this practice, because even after this COVID time is over, I think this is the time when it should be fully adopted, and the universities and colleges should develop all those facilities where the teachers can have an easy access to computers and audiovisual devices, so that they can plan their lectures accordingly. Now, this lecture was very timely. I missed a major part of it, but I understand, in fact, like the audience, which is there in large number, almost 100 audience are there, they must all have been benefited, and the faculty and other staff members who are in teaching profession, I hope that they will try to carry the message that you have delivered. So once again, I express my gratitude to you that you have taken your time, in fact, and enlightened our people there. Thank you very much, in fact, for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. We were listening to Honorable Vice Chancellor, Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University, Professor Javed Musarrat. Now the session is open. We have few people who are raising hands consistently. I'd like to request them if they have any question to ask to our expert speaker. We have Dr. Giri Prasad. He has been raising hands. I would request them to unmute themselves and make a comment or ask a question.
At the outset, I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Giri Prasad Vidudala from Telangana State, Kakatiya University. I feel it's my privilege attending Baba Ghulam Shah University, and I have seen Honorable Vice Chancellor and also all the organizing committee. I thank all of you. Coming to the keynote speaker, who is respected and Honorable Professor Hitesh. You spoke very well the difference between 20th century teacher and 21st century. You taught many things to us. You brought to our notice. There are many technical tools how to be used. This is all okay. And you commented on chalk and blackboard teacher. How did they maintain? How it has been going on? This is good. But my question is here, sir. We are living in India. We, the people, are a poverty-stricken people, most of the environment within the India. How we are going to face this? Because it's a costly one. ICT is not possible to all. I think particularly teachers, you are right at telling that within 2 years, teachers will be sacked out, no doubt at all. If they want to learn, if they are not willing to learn this technology. My question is here, how India is going to face this problem, India versus ICT?
Yeah. Look,
and your comments, please.
No, I was expecting this question. Look, I do agree with you that India is altogether a different country, and ICT access is not to all. Even the data suggests that only 60% people of India use internet. That means 40% are not using internet at all. I don't want to say that this is the only method, but look, it will take time. I do agree with you. It will take time. Now imagine if 2 years back or 2 years back or 3 years back, suppose somebody would have said that you will be attending a webinar, from your home, perhaps you would have laughed that it is not possible. Imagine just 5 years back. Now we wouldn't have thought of this webinar where participants will be from different parts of India, speaker will be from Gujarat, and organization committee is in Jammu. Now, just before 5 years, it would have been considered as a job, but today is a reality. So similarly, things will come gradually. I do agree with you that in India there are many students, there are many teachers who do not have even access to internet, but these are the hurdles, and we have just begun. That is why I am telling is a time span of 10 years. It will take 10 to 15 years to have full-fledged teaching. And even then, I don't want to say that we will close down our schools and colleges. But the
Sir,
way in which,
one more question, last question. And
yeah,
I am highly satisfied with your answer. You are talking about life skills. Teacher is playing a pivotal role in the classroom. This ICT is the secondary one. Maybe teacher is using that. But
yeah,
do you think, how should we think that life skills? Everything is taught in 20th century in literature, emerging, applying,
you are
infusing,
absolutely right.
transforming. These are all the things we were taught, we learned. And
But
without a teacher, how the present modern students are going to learn?
look, that is what I was telling you, that we have to mingle. Like suppose you are teaching Othello, right? So when you teach Othello, which life skill you will teach? What is that? We should not teach the text as a text only. You know it very well that earlier it was only like text-based education. Now we have different approach. Like we have gender, we have caste. Like when you and I, when we studied Othello, we studied as a canonical text. But
Yes.
now when you take up Othello, you have to teach Othello through different lenses. So you can bring in caste, respect. So many things are there. So even the same be done. So that is what I was meaning. And then along with it, if you can bring certain skills, it may not be possible in the classes, but we certainly interwoven life skills with our basic teaching. That is the only way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Nice of you.
Thank you.
We have Dr. Ranjita raising hand.
Yeah.
Dr. Ranjita, if you can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Hitesh sir, from MS University of Baroda. I am very much thankful that sir explained so nicely. But I can say that as per the Dr. Giri Prasad that he told just now, explained how you can accommodate that ICT. But I can give that example when we are in the school, our mother was just due to the ICT. Now we are as a assistant professor in the MS University, and our children there we are keeping in the house only. But how we are managing due to only the technology? It is the ICT. That is why we have to only adapt or adopt. That is the teaching, learning can progress. And the sir explained everything. That is a UNESCO high identified 10 ICT skills. And what are the many platforms? That platforms that he explained the Zoom. But now we came to know during the lockdown period, there are so many platforms are there. Zoom, WebEx, GoToWebinar, and Microsoft, so many. Google Meet, Google Classroom, and Moodle. There are Moodle that is already implemented in the MS University of Baroda. And we are very much good that we are already learned, and I personally learned that Moodle system, everything, doing the FDB course. That is why you have to adapt, you have to change, otherwise it will not progress. To change our education, to change our teaching and learning process, definitely we have to change ourselves to adapt the current situation, what is going on. That is the I think that is my one contribution. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, your presentation is very good. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, Vice Chancellor, sir, Javed Musrat, sir, and everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tanvir, I think you have to unmute yourself.
We have Mirza Zaryab. Thank you, sir. If you have anything to say, please unmute yourself. Mirza Zaria, please unmute yourself and then speak if you have anything to say.
Hello, are you getting me?
Yeah.
Yes, you are able now.
Hello, today I attended the program which was delivered by Jaya sir. And nicely, he told about the virtual classes, and also he told about how the things in future is going on. As per we see the COVID-19 epidemic. This is the opportunity in India, especially in India, which broadcasted to all of us to the online classes. Earlier, we were going through only online classes, not but only physical classes in the classroom. But due to COVID-19, our situation is compelled to all of us to do such a very good thing. It's a very good experience to all of us. It's very nice effort. Professor Sir addressed very passively, very effectively, and today I attended the program. So I would like to say my thanks to Vice Chancellor Sir, Honorable Professor Daya Sir, Tanveer Sir, and all. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We have Alka Sharma raising her hand. If you have any question, ma'am, or sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My question, basically, it's not a question, it's only a concern that we are talking about the technology, but are we talking about a health concern related to the technology? Because using the mobile and apps and gadgets, we are straining ourselves and our eyes also, and our obviously health related issues also. So we are not talking about that. We are just talking about technology. So this is my only concern because few years back we were asking our students not to use mobiles and gadgets so much, and now we are asking them to use as much as possible. So this is the only concern. Are we talking about health issues also?
Hello.
Thank you. Yes, Hitesh, sir, if you have heard the question.
I think what Alkaji says is true. That's why I said, like that we have to use it judiciously. Like it is a threat. Like too much use of ICT can really create problems rather than solution. And I do agree with her that at a tender age, like for example, at the school level, at least up to standard fifth, we should not promote online education. And online education is a substitute to the teaching.
Yes.
I never wanted to say that it is a replacement of physical education.
Yes.
It's not going to happen. Even in USA, UK, like Oxford and Cambridge are surviving, and though they are ahead, so far as ICT is concerned, they are 50 to 60 years ahead. But still, classroom teaching is classroom teaching. But what I suggest is that we should bring innovation with the help of ICT in the classroom. That was the only objective of this presentation, right?
Yeah, thank you, sir. But the thing is, you encouraged that Amazon Kindle.
Yeah.
So in that case, we are actually discouraging. Are we actually discouraging our students not to read books physically, or not to go to the
Look,
library,
madam,
or not to sit in the library?
Okay, I'll tell you, madam. Look, I don't want any answer, but if you ask all the participants, honest answer, then how many of us have visited physical library in the last academic year? If you make a survey, you realize, the result will be very poor. So point is that, look, if you look, this is before printed book, it was a handwritten manuscript. So you must understand that forms are changing. Book remains book. It will be very difficult for us to believe, like that this is an e-book and physical book. Think of the time when from handwritten manuscript, when in the 18th century, for the first time, when printing press was invented. So before 18th century, reading was there. In the 18th century, we have press for the first time, Caxton press, and then we have printed books. So the history of printed book is only 200 years old or 220 years old. So the medium is always changing, and it takes time for people to realize. For example, nowadays, we read blogs, all our letters, see most of the instruction on UGC website. Many people have stopped reading newspaper. That doesn't mean they have stopped reading newspaper. They have simply stopped reading physical newspaper. So these are changes, and it will take time for people to accept it. And look, I don't think that if you use ICT for say 6 to 7 hours in a day, logically, then there should not be any problem. Even otherwise, we keep our mobile always in our hands. Like generally, mobile is with us always 24 hours, and then we never care for mobile. But when it comes to Kindle, at that time we become very cautious. I agree with you, but gradually we will be able to come out from it.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I have one more observation or a query kind of thing. So, if allowed, can I ask?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. The thing is, when we are going for the online classes, and there are very few students who are attending or who are able to join actually because of certain reasons, because their parents have one phone only. There are 4 or 5 children in the house, and only one can accommodate with one phone. So, what about the others, or if the schools will start with Zoom again? So, are we going to go through all the subjects and all the chapters, or the thing we are to start again, or what should be the solution, right?
Look, I think it is too early to say, but what I feel that at least for the next 2 months, we have to teach from home only. So whatever means you have, whatever facility we have, look, I do agree that not all the students can have mobile at home. Then there is another option. We can record the entire Zoom lecture, question answer, everything, and then we can send a link later on. It is not necessary that students should attend the class at a particular point of time. We as a teacher have to devise a method that if our students miss our class, then what is the remedy for it? So that responsibility lies on our shoulder, that how we make our teaching in such a manner that all the students get benefited. You can prepare a video lecture at home and you can share your video. I don't want you to say that you teach only through Zoom. It is absolutely not necessary. In a literature class, like suppose you are teaching a text, say Othello, why don't you record your lecture and just simply share it? They can watch anytime they wish. There are many ways. I understand it is not a complete solution, but right now we don't have much choice. So within limited framework, whatever options available, we have to continue with our teaching. And this situation will be remain at least for 2 months. This is June. I don't see that the college and schools will open before August end. So we cannot remain ideal for 2 months.
Okay, okay, sir.
Uh,
Hello.
Hello.
yes, ma'am. Alka, ma'am, if you have anything to say,
Yeah,
or
yeah. So I was just asking that when we are going to resume our classes, so is there any like lecture who can arrange where all the teachers from different genres, they can share their views or their the experiments they are doing, how they are delivering the lectures, and the possibilities for the other teachers to be benefited by this?
Yeah. I think it depends on each university how they will carry out the program. So it's very difficult to say. I mean, in a different situation, different demands are there. So I think I won't be able.
Some experts, like they can training kind of thing to the teachers that how they can
Yeah, I think most of the universities are training. Like training programs will be there at the local level. Even right now, online trainings are also going on. So like many HRDCs are doing MOOC program, for the first time, EGC Academic Staff College, or what you call EGC HRDC, they have started short-term training course, which was not the case earlier. So gradually things are changing. It will take time. I told you earlier that this is just the beginning and we will see the fruits only after 5-10 years. It's too
yes.
early.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for bearing
yeah.
me for such a long time. Thank
No,
you
no,
so
no, no,
much.
not. It's a lockdown period, so I'm free. Don't worry.
All right, thank you so much.
Sir, I want to say something.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sir, everyone is just talking about the 24/7 teaching and everyone is just talking about the students. But why don't ever anyone think about the condition of the teachers, that how what they are going through, the pressure they are dealing with from the managerial board, from the student side, and even they have their own family. So how to cope up with that issue? Your lecture is quite informative. I learned a lot of today by that. But
Yeah.
still, this thing
I,
is,
I, I, I fully agree with you that this online teaching and online modes create little disturbance at home as well. Look, you have to fix your timing, like plus everywhere it should be restricted. For example, I have three WhatsApp group for three of the courses which I teach, but I don't allow them to post anything. So restriction of timing is there, like they cannot contact you after 7 o'clock in the evening. It depends on you. Like you can decide your, like for example, my students know it very well that I will not answer them after 7 o'clock. So you can decide. When I say 24/7, it's not literally. Look, during exam time it's okay, but during a routine time, you can fix up your timings, slots. Yeah, but students don't understand. They ping you up even at the night also, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. These are the issues. So there is something called, like online etiquettes. So
yeah.
I fully agree with you that there should be a separate session for teachers as well as learners, that which are the online etiquettes for teaching and learning. I do agree with you. It is altogether a different domain, and one can deliver a
Yes.
lecture, separate lecture on what should we take care in online teaching, online webinar, everywhere, like
Not
here.
only from the student side, but even the from everywhere. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm from the
yeah,
managerial side also, from the
yeah, yeah.
management side, from everywhere, from the parent
Yeah.
side also. There is a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah. We have to think of all the stakeholders: parents, management,
yeah.
university, those who implement, teachers, students, everything. Even students are also at the pressure sometime, like your class is 9 o'clock, another class is 10 o'clock. I do agree. So, we have to think of a kind of mechanism, right now, everything is going, just like that. It will take
Sorry,
time to, yeah,
it seems that after some time, the condition the teachers are going through,
yeah.
sometimes I feel that after some times, no one is will opt for this profession at all. As we are again and again talking about that everything is going to be so technical, then how could a human teacher will be there
No,
in
but
such
but honestly speaking, what I feel, if you're good at your subject and if you're
yeah.
good at ICT, it is an advantage. Not only in teaching, in any profession. Even if you're a doctor, and if you don't know ICT, you are ordinary doctor. But if you know ICT, then you can connect everywhere. So I think it is a reality of life. The more you know ICT, the better any profession it would be. Even business. Think of Flipkart. Flipkart is earning millions of rupees, and the office is only one flat, 4 rooms, nothing else. So I think you can't deny it, in any profession where it will.
Thank you.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah, please.
Sir, excuse me, sir. One question. That online reading, you talk about Kindle.
Yeah.
Whenever using Kindle, the difference between book reading and Kindle reading,
Hmm.
I think, does it damage uh, health point of view?
It's very difficult to say. Look, because we are using mobile at least 7 to 8 hours, most of us, So, and Kindle has no internet connection required, essentially.
Sir,
No doubt. Look, it is a mental condition, like we are used to have books in our hand, the fragrance of page, cup of coffee in the morning, So these are and so it will take time. But, if you don't have a book, physical book, then at least to have book in this form is good. So I agree with you. It's not same. Reading books, physical book, and reading Kindle, these are two different things.
Thank you, sir. Whenever we talk about ICT, our online teaching, it always comes with many concerns, with many questions, with many queries. And most of the people, at least in India, are worried about the scenario that we will have once we enter into ICT. Now, leaving all the concerns here, I think the best person who can give us concluding remarks is with us. He has been listening very patiently right from the beginning. Dean Academic Affairs, Professor Iqbal Pervez, sir. So I would now like to go over to him for a vote of thanks and for concluding remarks. Professor Iqbal Pervez.
Thank you, Tanvir. First of all, I reiterate again for my being a little late, but then I'm very happy and fortunate that I did not miss any part of the lecture because the honorable speaker has just started when I joined the webinar there. First of all, I'd like to thank Professor Hitesh D. Ravia for his very contentful lecture. I've been listening, as Tanvir pointed out, all through, very, very carefully to all the words that he has been talking about. And it is also because in the earlier times also we had a couple of more webinars. If not exactly on the same topic, there were topics which were overlapping with this kind of a theme. And this is both timely as well as critical for us to now evaluate the current situation of the ICT enabled teaching and then vis-a-vis the kind of conventional teaching that we have been having so far. My take on this is that ICT enabled teaching as on now is a matter of necessity. It is no more a matter of choice as on now, because the kind of a situation we have suddenly landed up is a situation where people who had absolutely no familiarity with this kind of a mode of teaching were per force had to become educated, digitally educated. Otherwise, the students would not have learned anything. But then the kind of a suddenness with which this particular thing has come is something which is a matter of concern to all of us. Particularly those people who are not kind of a tech savvy, they have really found it difficult to adapt and adapt so soon. So that's one thing which I thought I'll try to point out here. Then another thing that I like to clarify here is that we should not get mixed up. ICT is nothing but it is a different mode of delivery of the knowledge that a teacher possesses. In a face-to-face class, he's having the student sitting in front of him, he is talking, and he is passing down all the wisdom and knowledge to them. Now, in the other kind of a scenario, the student is not there in front of him. It is through the digital mode that he's trying to reach there. So, as someone pointed out, some of the concerns which were there, will it compromise the quality of the teaching and all? See, the quality of teaching will largely depend on the quality of content that you are trying to deliver. If your content are robust, if they are meaningful, whether they are being delivered through face-to-face teaching or whether they are delivered through ICT-enabled teaching, it is one and the same. If it is a good teacher, he is going to be good even in the ICT mode also, provided he is familiar with that tool and technology. So that's one clarification that I like to offer. The other thing is on which the learned speaker has touched briefly, but I would like to really elaborate a little bit on that. And that is this kind of an ICT enabled teaching, particularly to our youngsters, to our kids who are just starting their their school education. Will it really not hamper their critical faculty or critical thinking process? That is an area of concern, not only for me, for the entire people, the entire globe. Because now there are studies which show that too much of being glued to the silver screen, too much of following this kind of a thing would not really give you any time to innovate. The other kind of a thing which we otherwise get during our regular kind of a classroom teaching, where a student is sitting face to face with the teacher. It should not damage, it should not hamper our critical thinking process. So that is why I think the speaker has at one point of suggested that at least in the initial phases of a student, when he's a small little kid, let us keep him away from the ICT and then let him be more exposed to one-to-one teaching. so that let him grow and develop his critical thinking process as best as he could. So this was another thing where I thought I would really like to touch upon. The another very important thing which the speaker pointed out, and I think on which all of us will have to hone our skill, is that there are three kinds of areas where we have to make ourselves very competent. One is the information literacy, and that is there whether it is a classroom teaching or or a teaching through ICT mode. The other one is the media literacy that we have to really master, and third is the ICT literacy. All three things put together will really make us an ideal teacher. So this has to be there, and this has to have it. And he also, pointed out that there has been some kind of a, with the children being born, these are those one of those fortunate children which are digital natives, the term that he used. I found that term very interesting, that digital natives, the ones who opened up their eyes when they saw computers all around, they were playing with the smartphones. This was quite an unlike to a situation when the children, let's say a situation visualized about 10 years back, when we didn't have access to any of these gadgets. So I don't know whether to call these digital natives as the lucky ones or the unlucky, in the sense that they have been deprived with that teaching that starts from the lap of a mother, goes to a teacher who is looking into their eyes, reading their body language. They are looking at their teacher. They are now the children. If it is the ICT enabled teaching, then they are deprived with that kind of an opportunity. And the last thing that I like to touch upon, on which some of the questioners also have they raised a concern, is that this is now going to create a kind of a divide between the haves and the have-nots. There are people who got 4G connectivity, they are blessed lords, they can have an access to that, compared to a boy who is there in a far remote area in a village, which is suffering from all kinds of things, the lack of connectivity, the lack of electricity breakdown, and all those things. Now, if you're putting everything at one par, at one platform, the people there in that second scenario is going to be obviously a disadvantaged group. But then I am always a die-hard optimist. I visualize a situation the way India is progressing, that this kind of a gap which is there, or this kind of a void which is there, that's going to be bridged very soon. There is going to be a time when our villages also will have as fast connectivity as our urban counterparts are having. So these are the things which I thought I would then lastly, some of these things which were raised, as the speaker pointed out, now it is a teacher 24/7, which he hastened to clarify that even in his case also after 7, he would not encourage his students to bother him too much. So that may be there, and but then accessibility has increased. Because I remember my time when I would be worried about a teacher's class, because I knew that once I miss that kind of a class, I'm not going to get that lecture again. But now, with the kind of several of those devices there, that lecture will be available to me at any time, at will, any moment that I would like to have. So that is another advantage, which has come now with this kind of a present scenario. So in the end, I would say that the lecture by Professor Hitesh was really very informative. There must have been many things which we knew, but there have been quite a few things which are absolutely new to us. It has really armed us with more facts and figures, and has made us more aware in terms of both the advantages as well as the limitations that we have. Thank you so much, Professor Hitesh, for spending time and then taking part in Baba Ghulam Shah Basha University seminar. Let me tell you that this is a small little beautiful university which is located at the lap of nature. You are there in Gujarat. So anytime when the situation becomes normal, this is an invitation which I extend to almost all our speakers. So you are welcome. Come and spend time with us. And I can assure you that apart from being good academicians, we are very good hosts also.
Thank
So
you very
over to you, Tanvir.
I'll definitely come, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yes.
you. Tanvir, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Now, as a coordinator, it's my duty to thank Dean Academic Affairs, Sir Professor Iqbal Pervez, who was with us in during whole webinar. I would also like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Javed Musarat, who has left us, but he was with us in the webinar towards the end. I would like to thank Professor Hitesh D. Ravia, expert speaker of the day, who threw light on the topic and engaged people. I'd like to thank my organizing team, including our convener, Dr. Rumina Rashid, head of the department, and Dr. Maria Aslam, assistant professor, Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University. I'd like to thank Danish Iqbal, media advisor, Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University, and at the end, last but not least, all the participants who joined us on Zoom and on YouTube channel. Thank you very much for being with us and making this program successful. And on this note, I would end this meeting.